Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody, man? Hopefully, everybody is having a powerful, peaceful, and productive Sunday and weekend thus far, man. I'm tapped in. I know it's been a minute since I streamed, but I wanted to get on here, man, and build and chop it up with you all, man. So I'm gonna give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in with the kid before we start this build, man. So tap in. Let me know how we living and feeling on this wonderful Sunday, man. What's the word? Talk to me before I start talking to y'all. Y'all see the subject matter, man. We're going to get deep off in the trenches, man, with a much needed conversation, especially for the brothers, man. So how y'all living? How y'all feeling on this wonderful Sunday, man? We tapped in. We tapped in. We tapped in for sure. Hey, son, kids, peace. What's happening? Emmanuel, peace. What's the word? What's happening? How we living? How we feeling on this wonderful Sunday? Hey, son, kids, for sure. Much needed. You know how our mental health a lot of the time get swept under the rug, so we got to bring it to the surface, man. We got to have these conversations because a lot of people don't know the struggle. And notice I had to clarify, a black man with knowledge of himself. That's a totally different struggle. When you got some knowledge of yourself, when you got some sense, when you got some knowledge, when you go against the grain, when you go against the status quo, that's a whole different mental struggle. It's already a struggle to be a black man, but if you are willing to conform, then it will alleviate some of the stresses that come with being a black man in the wilderness of North America. But when you are not willing to sell yourself out, when you speak truth to power and you stay true to yourself, it doesn't get worse than that mental struggle in the wilderness of North America, man. I'm here to tell y'all, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you all can relate. So being a black man that stands for something, man, that has some information, that's not afraid to challenge the power structure, that's not afraid to attach his face, an image to certain messages and certain energy, man, like it's a different struggle, way different. CEO, peace, what's happening? Emmanuel, for sure, man. We getting there, we stay, day by day, we progressing on a daily basis, man. That's all we could do. All true for you, peace, what's happening? For sure. CEO, you public enemy number one. The black man with a book in his hand, man. Public enemy number one. The black man with some knowledge of himself. The black man that's not afraid to, again, go against the status quo and the consensus and learn some things that go against stuff that we've been taught. When you are of that nature or of that cloth, big problem, So you got to check in on your revolutionary family from time to time, man. You got to tap in. A lot of people see the strength when it comes to people such as myself, and they forget to tap in from time to time, and I've made it a priority to try to tap in with certain brothers, man, that I know are out here fighting for the cause, and staying true to the cause, man, staying true to self. You ain't even got to be out here going hard on the revolutionary sense, man. If you just stand true to yourself as a black man, that's a problem. So you got to tap in with those brothers, man. You got to tap in with those sisters, man. You just got to tap in with the people that look like you, that's not selling themselves out, because trust and believe they going through it. They may not display it, but they going through it, and it's rough out here. Because we can easily play the other game. Like it's easy. Like I could cut my hair off, man. I could start talking a certain type of way. It's easy. You know what I'm saying? It's easy. If I really wanted to put myself in a certain position, it's nothing to so-called clean up that image. I hate that saying that, but y'all know what I mean. So I'm gonna speak in layman's terms. So it's nothing for me to go out here and do that and sell myself out, man, just so I can make X amount of dollars and get certain types of positions and fake it until I make it. But it's way harder to just stay true. It's way harder, in the wilderness of North America to stay true and elevate and evolve and reach certain statuses. Way harder, way more complicated. I know exactly how to play the game if I wanted to play the game and reach certain points in my life. Like that's nothing. I know exactly what to do. I know the formula. I just choose not to do it because it's not me. If it's not in alignment with my principles, if it's not in alignment with my culture, if it's not in alignment with me, I'm not going to do it just for some money, just for some quick cash. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. And that's a daily struggle, You know, when you see a lot of corny activity out here making, just elevating, and you be like, man, hold on, I know I offer more than that, and you just start feeling some type of way. So that happens. We human. We human. We go through those thoughts. When we gotta, it's rough, man. When you putting out, especially on the content end, it's rough when you putting out a bunch of substance and you just see the trash just hitting the algorithms, man. Y'all know it. But then we know why that's happening. So, but it's a struggle though. It's a struggle when you putting out some very valuable and helpful content. You just gotta watch trash just circulate. So that gets that start getting a little frustrating from time to time. Hey, God is peace. What's happening? Clocks in. Peace. What's the word? Airview. What's happening? So we got to stay on point. We got to stay focused, and we got to understand that our journey is a lot rougher than the average person's journey, and that's just what it is. Lindell, peace. What's happening? I accepted that, man, but it's rough, and a lot of times it gets lonely, especially when you fighting against the algorithms, when you fighting against just the power structure, when you got all these things you fighting against. You fight against your own people. The same people you trying to help, those are the people who resist you the most. You know what I mean? So you fighting against your own people. You fighting against the power structure. You fighting against algorithms. You fighting against all of that. You fighting against all of that, man, when you speaking truth to power. And then you got that target on your back. You get threats and all type of stuff that be coming your way, man, when you strive to speak a certain type of message as a black man, as an original man. We already know we don't have to bring up all the great ancestors, man, that have been assassinated simply because they woke up to certain realities and started to speak them. We don't even need to bring these people up, man. Y'all know who they are. So that's another thing that we have to go through, man. When you make that conscious decision as a black man to say, you know what, I'm going to start speaking the truth to power. I'm going to start to reveal certain things, and I'm going to get online and I'm going to do it. When you make that conscious decision, you did all this studying. So you seen, or you read about what happened to the last brothers that chose to do that. So when you make that conscious decision, that's always going to be in the back of your mind, man. Every brother, a lot of the brothers that have came before me that spoke like this is what happened to them. So we got to push a message with that in the back of our minds. Man, that's stressful. That's stressful, especially when you got people relying on you, people needing you to exist. Like, people die over these messages, fam. People get killed black men get killed over speaking the truth. Black men get killed when they trying to help their people. Black people get killed for trying to make their people healthier. You know what I'm saying? Like, black men die. Black men die doing these things. Like, we shouldn't have to die doing these things, but that's what happens. We get assassinated when we strive to do these things. We get falsely accused, when we striving to help our people. This is what happens, fam. So when you make that conscious decision, like, that's something that you think about. Hey, boom, peace. What's happening? What's the word? Hey, I'm feeling, progressing, man, on a day-by-day basis. Dread Mike, what's happening? Peace. So the moment I got knowledge of self, man, you face with a decision. CC, what's happening? When I got knowledge of self, or when I started to come across certain pieces of information, right? I'm going to put it that way. When I start to awaken to certain pieces of information that place my people in a better light and that went against what I had been taught since I was a kid, you faced with two decisions. And a lot of people going to choose the latter. The first decision is like, all right, I'm getting this knowledge. My duty is to teach those who don't know. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to keep this knowledge to myself. It's not my duty to strive to wake other people up. I'm going to keep this information for myself. So I got this information, but whatever I'm doing on my day-to-day basis, I'm not revealing that information. A lot of people choose that. You got a lot of entertainers. You got a lot of athletes that know what's right and exact, but they are afraid to use their platforms to teach what's right and exact because they are afraid of the consequences and the repercussions. So they made the decision. I'm going to get this knowledge, but I'm going to build in secret. I'm going to build on it privately. I'm not going to use my platform to share this information. Then you got people such as myself. Soon as I come across the information or came across it, I said it's my duty to try to wake up as many people that look like me as I can. Of course, I can't save the world, but I can touch one or two people with this information, and then boom, that's what I'm gonna do. You know, so you got people, majority of the people, they gonna choose the latter. They afraid to lose certain deals. They afraid to lose out on the money. So they gonna say, you know what? I got this information, but I'm not gonna wake my people up with it. They afraid. They're afraid of what will happen. They're afraid of that energy that will come their way when they choose to reveal certain pieces of information or share certain books, whatever the case may be. You could be as simple as sharing some books. Like, they're afraid to do that, man. A lot of these entertainers, athletes, all these folks, man, they have read some of the same material that I've read. They just afraid to tell their people that. You know, and then the moment that they do, they delete the post, remove it from the story. Like, bro, we seen it, it's screenshot it, man. You know, you might as well stop doing that. But it's your duty, as I was taught, it's your duty to teach those folks, man, that don't know. So when you come across that information, it is your duty. It's literally your duty to teach some people who don't know exactly what you found out. You know, the first part is you take that information and apply it to yourself. But then the next step is to always teach what you've learned to other people. You know what I'm saying? That's always the end game right there, man. You always supposed to teach what you've learned. You never supposed to keep that information strictly for yourself. You know, teach that information, man. Find some young bulls that don't know what you've learned, and you help them out to prevent them from traveling down some paths that you traveled down simply because you did not know. Teach that game, fam. Don't be stingy with the information. Information is currency. And if you study the law of attraction, they tell you one of the best ways to attract more money is to give money. Information is the same way. You know, information is the same way. You want better information to come your way? Give the information that you already got. Law of attraction. Information is currency. So it works the same way. Don't be stingy with the information. If you want more information to keep coming your way, if you need certain pieces of information that you haven't come across, give the information that you come across consistently, and you will attract the information that you need. So it's the law of attraction at work, man. Information is currency. Give that information so you can attract more and you can attract better information. That's how that should work. But like I said, people are afraid to do that. They're afraid of the repercussions and the consequences, man. As if if you got a platform and you got, like, we got to, that's 2025, man. I can understand in 1995 being afraid of the system. You know what I'm saying? But it's 2025, man. We got these platforms. You got 20 million followers, man. You got 20 million subscribers. Don't be afraid. It's a million different ways you can keep these people abreast on what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, just give them the game, give them the information. I promise you that 20 million ain't going to forget about you. They going to ride for you. They going to ride for you. They going to find you. If they really fool with you, if they shut you down on one platform and you make your own platform, they going to find you. You know, it's 2025, man. We got to stop living in that type of fear. Put out that information, man. That's your duty. It's the reason why you came across a piece of information was to share it, fam. The first reason, like I said, is to apply it to your life, you know, so you can elevate, and then it's to share it. That's it. That's why you come across it. Like, straight up. Our God is here for sure. Each one teach one, most definitely. But we miss out on that teach one part. We afraid to teach one. Oh God, yeah, for sure. That individuality, which is crazy, you know, because again, when we became indoctrinated in the wilderness of North America, that's when that came into play. That's when that came into play. We like the village mentality originated from us, and we have abandoned that mentality. Now it's crazy. Let me rephrase that. We abandon the village mentality until we are faced with a personal crisis. Now we want the village to look out for us. Like, that's what's funny to me. You know, a lot of people that move individually and they be selfish and all of that good stuff, the moment they are faced with a crisis, now they want the help from the black community, the same black community that they abandoned, that they talk dirty and foul about. When they are going through something, now they want the help of the village. And then when they don't get the help, they talk bad about the village. Like, man, you was talking bad about the village. Now you going through something and you expect these people to look out for you. Nah, it doesn't work like that. You know, and that's what we be on. That's what I've noticed a lot of times, man. We abandon the village mentality until we face with a crisis, and now we want the village to look out for us. I never abandoned the village mentality, man. I'm always striving to help folks to the best of my abilities, man. Like, of course, I'm a fall short. You know, I'm short on time most days. You know, but the little time I do have, hey, I might strive to help some folks. Hey, taste and peace, what's happening? But the village mentality, for the most part, has been abandoned on a day-to-day basis, man. We really don't understand the village mentality. We've lost our understanding of the village mentality. Dre and Mike, for sure. Y'all see my book collection, man. I'm thinking about going to get a storage space for my books, man, because I remember Professor Griff talking about how they burned up his apartment where he had all of his books. You know, so I be thinking about that, man. So I got to start moving a little differently with my book collection, man. You know, I remember Professor Griff mentioning that, you know. So again, when you go back in history, one of the first things they burned down was the libraries back in the day of our ancestors. They took the library, burned it down. You know, when you tackle the information, like, that's how you get rid of a person's history. You know, we write down our history so that the people that's after us, they can understand what everything was like, you know, what we went through and what to do moving forward, you know. So if you want to control the people, man, you got to get rid of their history so you can rewrite it in your favor, you know. So all of these books, this the history, this the truth, you know. So if y'all know it ain't no conspiracy, if I'm somewhere and the place where I have my books then lit up and it's on fire, y'all already know what's the science behind that. Yeah, you want to control the people, man, you got to destroy their history. That's the way to get rid. That's the way for them to lose knowledge of themselves. Destroy the libraries, destroy the books, destroy the documents, destroy the hieroglyphs, destroy what was written, destroy it. And that's what they do. That's one of their tactics. They're going to destroy the information, the source of information. You know, so that's why I'm always keeping books, man. I'm collecting books, man. If I see a book that I know it's like, all right, I don't think this book, either this book ain't going to be around in a couple years or they going to raise the price. So I'm going to get it while I can. I'm going to stash it, you know, but we got to protect the books. We got to protect the information. TZ, what's happening? What's happening? So I'm always talking about preserving the books, preserving the knowledge, preserving the information. You know, that's why some of our great elders and ancestors, unfortunately, then had to go back and write certain books filled with information that should have been common sense. You know, that's why some of our ancestors didn't have to write books letting you know that the original Egyptians were black people. This should be common sense, but they destroyed the libraries. They got rid of this information that was already written. You know what I mean? So yeah, they didn't had to go back, tap in, write books about the origins of the original people and giving us all this common sense information because they destroyed the libraries. Like, for real. Hey, Nishadi, what's happening? For sure. I'm in this thing. I'm back. They can't. I ain't gonna stay down for too much longer. Y'all know. Hey, Mahogany, peace. What's happening? Lindell, what you say? I heard some people criticize Serena when she did the crip walk at the Super Bowl. Her sister was allegedly killed by gang violence. What's your take on glorifying crip walking? Oh yeah, I when she did that, first of all, Serena then been kind of whitewashed. So I take what she do with a grain of salt. You know, they basically pay her to do that. You know, so Serena done been whitewashed. I understand why she did it, simply because of, you know, Kendrick threw the shot at Drake and put her in the song. So I get that element of it. But it's a lot of other things we can glorify other than crip walking and blood walking and things like that. I understand the cultural aspect of it. I understand the cultural aspect of crip walking and all of that. You know, I get that. But it's like it's other things that we could be doing, other dances that we could be doing and glorifying. So I really don't be a fan of that, because there are other things that are a part of our cultural identity that I would highlight before I would highlight that. And again, mind you, I know a lot of people on both sides of that spectrum, the red and the blue side, you know, so I get that, you know, but I'm never going to glorify it, just like the OGs really don't glorify it. Like the OGs back in the day, things are different now. When you had OGs back in the day that was caught up cripping and blood and things like that, when you had potential as a young boy, they tried to keep you away from that. They didn't want you getting involved in it. You know, when you was a young boy and you was a good athlete, or you was you was smart, when you was around the OGs that was caught up in the gang, like they told you, nah, this ain't what you want to do. I did this because I had to, this and that, which I would disagree with that. But they tried to keep you away from it, man, when you show potential. Nowadays, it ain't going like that. Nowadays, there's no holds barred out here. You know, but they had a little code back in the day. The gangs did. The Bloods and the Crips, at least. Like they wasn't letting you get involved in it when you had potential, and they would protect you in the neighborhood. You know, if you was in that neighborhood and you had potential, you had their protection, and they didn't want you getting involved in it. Now it's not like that. You know, and then the origin of the Crips and the Bloods is not as deadly as folks have made that out to be, man, when you study the history of it, you know. So I don't really I'm not going to say I don't have a problem with glorifying it, because, you know, we be killing each other when it comes to that. But like the mafia and the mobs, like they got whole movies that have grossed a lot of money glorifying the mobs and the mafias and things like that. They got movies based on the mafia and the mobs making millions and billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of our culture. While it can be destructive, but like we can't don't act like these other cultures ain't that came in here on some mob and mafia type of time, and they glorify it and make a bunch of money off of it. I stay watching some mafia and mob stuff. Y'all know who the biggest mafia mob is. It's called the U.S. government. And they are responsible for a lot of Crip and blood violence. On the real, you know what I'm saying? They responsible for a lot of that violence. You know, a lot of times when you look at Crips and Bloods, you think it's just us killing us with no middleman, with no unseen hand behind it. A lot of times they had some involvement in that. A very high percentage of times they had some involvement in Bloods and Crips killing one another. Oh, Mahogany, hey, don't get me started on AI and how that's about to change history. And that's why, like, listen, people think I'm like anti-chat GPT and all that. That ain't really, that's not it. Of course, everything has its pros and its cons. Everything has its benefits. You know, my thing is, man, we cannot allow the chat GPT to become our mind and become our sole source of information. When you were in school, you never just looked at one source, fam. Never. When you did research papers in school, they would tell you, get 2 book sources, 2 magazine articles, 1 website article. Like that's how you had to do research papers, fam. We need to treat the chat GPT like that. A lot of times people would type something in the chat and then they accept whatever it says instantly. We can't do that. The chat GPT is not going to always be right and exact, because one thing we got to understand is who programmed the chat GPT. Who programmed it? Somebody, there was a human behind programming the chat GPT. So we can never forget that. Just like it's humans behind programming Google and all these other search engines. We cannot forget that part. You know what I'm saying? So we can't always think that the chat GPT is going to work in our favor. because again, somebody programmed it. So we got to understand that. So we always got to fact check. We always got to be critical. We always got to look at something like, all right, just because this told me that doesn't make it right and exact. Let me cross-reference, man. Let me fact check this. Let me pull up some other sources. Let me pull up something that disagrees with the chat GPT, man. Like we gotta do that. Just don't let that become your main and only source of information. Like it cannot be wrong. Like it cannot be false. Same with like Google, man. We gotta continue on reading the hard books. You know what I'm saying? And using other search engines. Google is not the only search engine. We got a lot of other search engines, man. A lot of y'all remember back in school when y'all used other search engines. Peer-reviewed articles, things like that, man. We cannot lose that. So I see a lot of people, man, they just use chat GPT for information. Like whatever chat GPT gives them is right and exact. Like, no. Like, that's my problem with that. Tayson, man, how did we allow them? How did we allow the books to get destroyed? Simple. Our biggest downfall and flaw is we are too accepting and forgiving as a people. We give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't think that these devils about to do what they gonna do, what they designed to do. We gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. So that's our problem. So when you ask how something got destroyed, even if we had a military, it's because we are too gullible. We are too naive as a people. That's our biggest flaw. So a lot of times when we talk about our history or our story, we talk about the best parts. But we got to study where we went wrong and where we continue to go wrong. We too accepting. That's why the turn the other cheek philosophy worked on us, and it works on us, because that's how we are by nature, to accept it for the most part. So that's why they could tell us to turn the other cheek, and collectively, for the most part, 80% of us gonna adhere to that philosophy. Because we gonna look at those people and say, man, let's go ahead and teach them how to take a bath. Let's go ahead and teach them how to plant these crops. Man, let's teach them how to eat properly. Let's teach them how to put on some clothing. You know what I'm saying? Let's teach them let's teach them civilization. We gonna do that. And we don't have an ulterior motive behind doing that. So we gonna get them the benefit of the doubt. We gonna be like, nah, they can't be that wicked. That's what we do. We let our guards down. We naive. We too trusting. That is what we do. That's our problem. So that's how books got destroyed. That's how empires were falling. That's how things got corrupted and infiltrated in our own systems. That is how we fail. That is our downfall. Too gullible, too naive, too trusting, too accepting. Like, nah, we got to stop letting people into everything that we do. So we too nice collectively as a people. We too nice, and a lot of time in our nature, and y'all see it, we too nice, and we are too, I don't want to use the word too fun, but like we let our guards down way too easily. We let our guards down way too easily, fam. We just let our guards down way too easily. Like, we have a lack of seriousness amongst us that makes stuff a problem and makes it easy for people to just do what they want to do to us, man. Our lack of seriousness, man. And I can speak on that because personally, I get criticized a lot of times for just being a serious dude, being a serious person, as if that's not needed. You know what I'm saying? We one of the only cultures that get on a man for being serious and about his business 99% of the time. Like all the other cultures, that's all the man do is work in all other cultures. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's when you get in the black community, you get criticized for being about your business 99% of the time. Man, other cultures, that's all the men do. They work. You know what I'm saying? They provide for the family. That's it. That's their purpose. Work. They work. That's what they do. When you about that as a black man or as a black person, oh, you don't know how to have fun. Man, I had fun when I was 17 or 18. Now my what I'm doing in life now is my new fun. When I'm educating my people, when I'm reading, when I'm getting people healthy, that's my new fun. I don't need to be going out to clubs and all that type of stuff, man. I don't need to be drinking until I'm sloppy drunk and can't remember the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm cool on that. You know, my fun now has matured. You know, when I read a book and I share that book with my people, I just have fun. You know, when I'm building on some information, when I'm building on certain policies and, you know, just ways to make money, business plans, things like that, that's my new fun. That's my new level of fun, fam. You know, so my perception of fun has transformed. Oh, I am not about the things I was doing at 18, the things that I was doing to have fun at 18, not fun to me at 34. Not at all. You know, so we have a lack of seriousness, man, that be killing us. Lack of seriousness, man, that be killing us. And like I say, man, we just too gullible, too naive, too trusting. We gonna give people the benefit of the doubt for sure. Like, man, we gonna, you know, them like they gonna let somebody in that church that know they, you know what I'm saying? Like the same way I treat these other people like they treat me. When they look at me suspiciously because of my hair and they stereotype me, I look at them the same way. I don't trust y'all. I don't trust you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna walk across the street when I see them white folks. I don't trust y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't trust you. You know, so I'm gonna get them that same type of energy. I'm gonna give y'all the same type of energy. I don't trust y'all just like y'all don't trust me. Cool. So I'm not gonna let you in my crib. I'm not gonna let you in my business. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that because I don't trust you. You know, the funny part is black people, we too forgiving, too trusting, and too accepting, except when it comes to our own people. When it comes to our own people, we don't have that same level of grace. Stockholm syndrome. But with everybody else, we have a high level of grace. We give them 1,000 chances to do us wrong. When it comes to our own people, don't nobody deserve grace. Nobody deserves a second chance. They don't deserve 1.5 chances when it comes to our own people. When it's somebody that looks like us, all of a sudden they get 0 chances. But when it's somebody that don't look anywhere near close to our complexion, they get 1,000,000 chances. They can spit in your face 1,000,000 times and we cool. Oh, they didn't mean to do that. Man, yes, they did. You know what I'm saying? But when it's us, do you slip up one time, it's over with. No grace. No grace. True words worth. Peace, peace. And that's for sure. Her brand big watered down. You know, and I try hard not to talk about my people because I'd rather talk about other people. But man, when black folks start selling themselves out, I gotta call it out. And I'm not going to accept you back into the mix because you done got up on stage and crip walk. You know, that's not gonna, oh, she cool now because she crip walked at the barbecue. No. That ain't doing nothing for me. That ain't moving me because you crip walked at the barbecue. You crip walked at the family function. Nah. I'm cool on that. I'm cool on the internet. Peace. What's happening? Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on here. Yeah, Tony, man, exactly. And that's all I be saying about the AI and the chat GPT and all that. Do your due diligence. If I look up something on chat GPT, information wise, I'm still going to read the books. I'm still going to search out other sources. I'm not just going to accept that. You never accept the first source. You always supposed to get second, third, fourth, fifth opinions. And that's just real. If you really into research. You know, I said something way back when on Facebook. I was like, man, I don't know what people really be meaning when they said they did their research. Like, what does that even mean these days? When somebody said, oh, yeah, I did my research on something, what are you saying? It's people, whatever you claim you did your research in, that's a whole field, right? That's a whole field where people have been studying it for 30, 40 years and they don't have all the answers. And you mean to tell me you chat GPT something for 10 minutes and you got you got it all figured out? Don't disrespect certain industries by saying you researched something and you got it figured out and you only researched it for a few hours or a week or 2 weeks. Come on, man. We got to stop doing that, man. You looked at a source, you looked at chat, you asked chat GPT a question and you looked at whatever, you read whatever it was that it sent back to you. That's all that you did. We don't really understand what research means, man. And when you are researching something, that don't mean people use it past tense. They be like, I researched, meaning you came across and that you got a conclusion. Like, no. like no, man. Like, it's somebody that's been researching this for 40, 50 years and they ain't reached a conclusion. How you research it in 10 minutes? Come on, man. We gotta stop being disrespectful when it comes to certain fields, man. Hey, 777 for sure. True. Oh, yeah. Whatever the games brought that was good to it's always sabotage, man, for sure. You know, because like I say, man, there's good and bad within everything. So the games, of course, they got their bad, but man, it's a lot of it's some good that came up out of it, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Tyson, AI will never replace human intelligence because guess what? AI really is human intelligence because who created it? That's the funny thing about it. And we got that. The funny thing about artificial intelligence is really who created it. That's the oxymoron. The oxymoron is that we don't think a human was and is behind that. That's the funny part about it. That's the funny part about it. Like, artificial intelligence literally is still human intelligence at the end of the day, which means it's capable of error. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the funny thing about all of this. So we just looking at another aspect of them indoctrinating us and them brainwashing us. Like, that's how I see it. It's about to get 1,000 times worse, if you ask me. The indoctrination and the brainwashing. Like, they done made it, the chat GPT done made it 1,000,000 times easier than even Google to indoctrinate us and brainwash us. People really not about to be doing any type of work, fam. Really. Like, Google was bad, but like, this chat joint gonna make it 1,000,000 times worse. Gonna make it 1,000,000 times worse. Like, I literally got people, man, like, I'm putting in works of reading, and I literally got people that just gonna tell me what the chat GPT said in reference to some 20, 30 books I done read on this subject matter. And they telling me what a chat GPT said. Like, first of all, the people that instilled this response in this system, in this bot, they don't want you to know certain things. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be certain things that have been excluded from the program. You still got to search for that information. Oh yeah, that Christian mindset in a modern sense. You know what I'm saying? Because when you really look at that Bible ain't telling you to love your enemies. When you get to the root of the Bible, you know, like, that's why somebody like Nat Turner be like, hold up, that Old Testament, you know, I'm not, I ain't the religious folks. I don't really believe in none of that. But I didn't had to read that Bible for school purposes. That the Old Testament God was a savage, destroying whole towns because, you know what I'm saying, destroying whole cities because they wasn't following the laws. You know, y'all know God is a hateful God, God's a vengeful God, and all this type of stuff, man. So, hey, the God of the Old Testament wasn't nice. Wasn't nice by any stretch of the imagination. You didn't follow those laws, some stuff was gonna happen to you. Some things were gonna happen to you. But they had to pacify some things because, hey, in that Old Testament, man, that Old Testament ain't gonna play around. When we was made in that image, so we really not supposed to play around. If we adhering to that, we not supposed to be playing around because we was made in that image. So that's why they had to corrupt that a little bit. That's why they had to corrupt that a little bit. They say, hold on now, wait a second. Yeah, that Old Testament God was a monster, fam. Oh, okay. This city, y'all about to be participating in this type of activity, destroying the whole city, wiping it out. That's what we need to be on. Oh, y'all on this type of time, just destroyed, wiped out, wipe it out. So what they had to do was they had to disconnect us from that God of the Old Testament, because it done already told you, ye are all gods. You know, it done already told you that. So if we study in that Old Testament and we say, hold up, you know, we gonna start acting in a way that reflects that. So they had to disconnect us from that God, and they placed themselves in that position. So that's why they out here doing all this destruction. Like if we not following their laws, they destroy us. You know, they gave themselves that power. That power is supposed to be for us. You know, the way God was treating his enemies and all the people that did him foul and wrong in that Old Testament, that's how we supposed to move. But they had to disconnect us from that relationship. They had to disconnect us from that relationship. You know, that's what they don't want us to know. That's what they don't want us to know. They don't want us moving like that. So then they, you know, yeah, that's the key right there. Boy, that Old Testament ain't a joke. Ain't a joke. Like I say, I ain't religious by any stretch of the imagination. But I, like I said, had to study that thing. So I'm trying to tell you, they got us afraid to cause destruction. And when really it's not really certain things warrant destruction. It's written. You know, certain acts, certain actions warrant destruction. So they had to pacify us. They had to strip that power from us. They was like, man, we can't have them. We can't have them knowing that they have the power and that it's okay to cause some destruction when certain things are violated. Like we can't give them that power. We can't have them thinking that's right and exact. So yeah, they had to pacify us. They had to remix some things and pacify us. And congratulations, they were very successful. They were very successful. Like I will sure give them that. They were very successful in pacifying us. Because like I said, it really wasn't hard due to the nature of us, unfortunately. Like when I be having these conversations with my people, man, it sucks for the most part. And like unless you're around your tribe, you know, we all got our tribes, you know, unless you are around your tribe, when you trying to talk to the average original person, it's like talking to a wall. You know, you might as well talk to a wall. It's a very frustrating conversation a lot of times, man. So you just be having to detach and eliminate your expectations. Because I know y'all done had those conversations, simple conversations, trying to get them to eat right, change the eating up. And you're not trying to get somebody who is healthy, somewhat healthy, to change their eating. You're trying to get somebody who's borderline about to die to change their eating. And it's like you got to talk to a wall. Man, they got every health complication under the sun on 20 different medications. And you trying to simply tell them to eat more vegetables, and you got to argue with them. Like, that's the type of resistance that you get. Like, you borderline in the grave, and I'm just simply telling you to eat some more greens, and you arguing with me. Like, that is what we be having to go through. Like, that's what we got to go through. Because I didn't have plenty of those conversations, man. Plenty of those conversations. Man, I'm just trying to get you to eat right. You know, I'm just trying to get you to read a book or two. Man, don't nobody care about that. You should. You know, I'm trying to get you to read this book on Brother Malcolm, on Brother Garvey. Man, ain't nobody got time to be reading about that. That ain't gonna make me no money. Yes, it is, because information is money. Information is currency. You are money. Your mind is money. You know what I'm saying? So anytime you can consume some information that you didn't know, that's money. You know what I'm saying? So I just be having to argue with them about not even argue. It's just like you got to go through that. When you're trying to introduce them to some things that will place people who look like them in a better light, you got to fight with them due to the indoctrination. And that can get frustrating, man. That can rile you up, man, if you're not ready for it. It's annoying. Because it's something that should be simple. Because unfortunately, a lot of times we look at these other people, how we responded and reacted. You know, when I got hip to that information, man, I was excited. So I just, you know, like a fool, thought everybody else should be excited to learn like how I was. That's not the case. You know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear and all that. So I stopped trying to force it, you know, but I'm about to get back on the bully game, man. I'm about to bully them just like they bully people with the misinformation. Like, that's what I'm about to be on. Oh yeah, I'm about to get back on my live streaming bag. I just had to. Man, listen, the doggone gym that got busy, man. I had got busy. You know, life get to lifing, and you just be having to recharge. But I'm back on it, man. I can't abandon. Like, hey, I realize I got a little voice or so I'm using that voice. Got to use it. And I don't even know if I tapped in with y'all on YouTube ever since I got accepted back into this little master's program, man, for counseling. So I'm about to re-enter school, and y'all know how I feel about school, but I was like, man, I got a plan, I got a vision, you know, so I'm gonna qualify myself to change the game, you know. So I got accepted into this master's program. The degree will be counseling with an emphasis on mental health. And so I'm about to go through that. I'm about to finish that thing out in a year. There are a lot of brothers who neglect their mental health because they don't have people that's in these industries, in these fields, to talk to professionally that look like them. So I'm about to come in. I'm about to change the game. So I'm going to hold it down for the brothers. And this is going to benefit the sisters too. You know, a lot of people advocate for therapy and counseling. And they be like, man, brothers don't go to therapy. Brothers don't go to counseling. Well, yeah, we don't, because we don't have a lot of representation. We don't want to talk to other people. And that's just how it is. I want to talk to another brother professionally, you know, but that pool is limited, you know, so I'm about to tap in. So I got the brothers, man, all the brothers that's going through something mentally. When I tap in, y'all tap in with me, and we gonna change the game. I can tell you why the brothers ain't going to therapy like that, man, because like the representation. You know, no slight to my sisters, but man, a brother would prefer to talk to another brother about certain things. You're not gonna be able to get everything out that black man, as a black woman therapist and counselor. I can promise you that. It's just certain conversations that brother's not gonna have with you. Opposed to a brother that he trusts, he gonna lay it all out. It's certain things he not gonna tell you. No matter how cool you are as a sister, it's certain things he won't reveal to you. It's certain things that he just not gonna lay out to you, you know, and that's just a fact, you know. So when a brother gets in this space, they gonna tell me everything. You know, it's certain things I would never reveal, but it's certain things people that reached out to me, brothers, and told me certain things. I'm like, man, it takes a lot for you to reach out and tell me that. I know they ain't telling no sisters these things. Like, I know they not gonna tell a sister these things, you know. So we need more men in these spaces, and I'm taking it upon myself to do the work so I can enter the space and help the brothers out. And if you are a sister and you with a brother, you dating a brother, you married to a brother, and you concerned about his mental, now you got somewhere and somebody to throw his way. Like, man, my dude going through this, that, and the third. Man, I feel like you really need somebody to talk to. Boom. Now you can slide on my way professionally, you know, and that's what I'm on. So I got the physical aspect down, qualified on that, you know, as far as the training and all that. And now I'm gonna be qualified to help us mentally as well. There we go. You know, so we gotta be out, we gotta be on the lookout, man. Protect your boy. Cause y'all know how that type of stuff go, man. When you enter these spaces, they gonna really be on me. You know, because I got to get certain licenses and all that, you know, to really qualify myself to help us professionally. So I know how I'm about to go about it. But, you know, y'all got to be on the lookout. Be on the lookout, man. Protect your boy. You know, just watch out for certain things, man, because this is a space I'm about to enter that it ain't many people like me in this space. You know, so I know they're going to be trying to play hardball when it comes to certain things that I'm on and I say. You know, so be out on the lookout for it. But we gonna get in there. We're going to help the brothers out. Because that's always funny to me, you know. It's a lot of things that people wonder why black men don't do this and that. And I'm like, man, you got to be a black man to understand it. And we not saying some of the stuff is right or wrong. I'm just giving you an understanding. I got a lot of people that be like, man, black men, y'all don't like to go to the doctors. Y'all don't like to go to the doctor. I'm like, hey, it's easy to judge and critique that when you're not a black man. It's a reason. Like, we don't just not go to the doctor because we stubborn and hard-headed, contrary to popular belief. A lot of us have experiences to where the trust has been lost. Like, a lot of us have had some foul experiences trusting some of these folks, and it's not ending too well for us or our family members. And that's when we started to disconnect and detach. And we said, man, listen, my health wasn't improving going to the doctor, so I'm gonna take my chances not going. You know, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just giving you the reason. So instead of you critiquing it, oh man, y'all don't go to the doctor, ask us why. We can give you some answers, fam. Like, we can give you some answers. I have watched male family members. I've watched male family members get misdiagnosed. I've watched male family members go to doctors and get, now I'm not saying that this doesn't happen to other groups of people, but we got history that is not in our favor that we have been experimented on. So we got a lot of history of being experimented on. Sisters do too. You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of history of being experimented on to where it's like, man, when that stuff starts happening, I don't know about y'all, but my antennas go up like, man, hold up. Like, the moment I'm going to a few doctors and I get misdiagnosed or I'm not getting told the whole truth, I don't trust nothing anymore due to history. Like, now I feel like y'all experimenting on me. And that is happening. Like, that's something that's happening that doesn't get talked about a lot. Medical Aparthide, one of the best books on the planet. Every black person should read that book. Medical Aparthide. Shout out to the sister that wrote that, man. What's her name? Like Harriet Washington or something. But shout out to the sister that wrote Medical Aparthide. That book is wild, and it's filled with experiments that have been conducted on the black community in the wilderness of North America, man. A lot of experiments. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not quick to trust these folks when it comes to my health. And I had periods in my younger years where I'm constantly going to the doctor, trying, and I still to this day, I had a lot of ailments. I had a lot of ailments back in the day, fam. And to this day, I still don't know why I was having these ailments. And I stayed going to the doctor, fam. I'm getting nosebleeds. I'm getting headaches every other day. You know what I mean? Like, my blood pressure's up. Now I know now I got a good idea of the origins of a lot of these, but I'm 18 or 19, nose steady bleeding, and and it wasn't. It didn't have anything to do with the stuffiness in the room to where I would get a humidifier and my problem was solved. My nose bleeding outside of that, you know, so I'm getting nosebleeds, like I say, man, headaches all the time, man, blood pressure up. And not once did I get a root, man, like, I had other like ailments because I used to have asthma. So I had a lot of respiratory problems. And I'm not getting any foundation, any root cause to any of these problems. All they were doing, prescribing me medications and trying to get me to take some type of shot. Every time I was going to the doctor, they was trying to give me a new shot back in the day. I'm like, man, what is we doing? I came here for a nosebleed. What I need hepatitis B, the hepatitis G shot for? What is we doing? I'm telling you, my nose bleeding. I never got any clear-cut answer as to why I had these problems. I had to do my own research and get to the bottom of it. Hence why I became vegan and eliminated meat, eliminated dairy, because that's what I came across. Oh, if you had asthma or you had these respiratory problems, dairy could be causing it. Oh, okay, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. The mucus, you know, so I had to go to mucusless healing system, you know, stuff like that. Like acidic diets causing these problems, you know. So I ain't know anything about this. These doctors ain't telling me none of this. Oh, you know, nosebleed, get you a humidifier. Okay, so what happens when my nose bleeds and that's not the problem, or that's not the cause? Or what happens when my nose still bleeds when I have the humidifier? Now what we doing? You know, they gave me the Flonase, they gave me stuff to put in my nose. Like they did all of that, but they never could tell me why my actual nose was bleeding. I'm coming in there, high blood pressure. They was telling me basically I was tripping. Oh, that's just because that's because you nervous. No, listen, this blood pressure is a little too high for that. I ain't nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't that dang on nervous, man. For my blood pressure to continuously be high every time I come in here. Nah, man, what's the problem? So they about to wait for me to about pass out for them to finally treat it? Like, no, my blood pressure shouldn't be like this. Hey, wise approved. Peace. Hey, for sure. And then we showing improving all the way. Hey, I gotta make them I gotta make them 1 year. I gotta make the show improve one year, man. I gotta do it. I gotta make the trip. I gotta make the pilgrimage. Yeah, so man, I stayed going to the doc. I was one of the ones, man, the slightest ailment. I'm like, man, let me go ahead and check that out. I did that. They had me like the slightest ailment. I would go to the doctor. And I promise you, I never got clear-cut answers. Never. I can't tell you what was wrong with me back then. All I can tell you is what Medicaid or what they told me to take. Or what they gave me to take. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's all I got for you when I was experiencing a lot of ailments. So I took it upon myself and I found out a lot of things. And a lot of stuff cleared up. I was able to start running 3-4 miles nonstop. I was never able to do that due to respiratory problems. I eliminated the dairy. I'm able to run distance now. I'm able to go out there and run and not feel like I'm about to die. You know what I'm saying? Like I did that through my research. It wasn't because of the help of a doctor, fam. Like, you know, I started to use doctors for emergency purposes. But when it came to healing the body, reversing conditions, man, or just feeling better, elevating my health, I don't rely on them for that. I don't know too many people who go to the doctor and their health actually elevates. You know what I'm saying? Just think about that. There might be a very small percentage of people, but how many people have they go to the doctor and their health elevates? I just see people health, it worsens. The more and more I see people go to the doctor, the more and more I see people diagnosed with diabetes, cancer, heart problems. That's what I see. I don't see anybody's health elevating because that will take the money away from them. If you continuously going to the doctor and now no more people are diabetic, no more heart problems, they won't make no money. So all the people that's constantly going to the doctor, it's funny to me that I see them. They are the ones, every time you look up, they got a new medication that they on. They got several new medications that they on. That's odd to me. That's odd to me. If we are continuously going to the doctor, why aren't the numbers going down? Why aren't the numbers going down, family? We got to make that make sense. If somebody is, if I'm a trainer, you know what I'm saying? Somebody come to me, they gonna walk around, they gonna walk out feeling better. Like we gonna get you off. I didn't train people. They didn't got off of the diabetes or the diabetic medication. You know, they have eliminated medication. That's what's supposed to happen. And we supposed to just be going to you for the checkups to confirm that everything is right and exact. You know, so that's how it's supposed to go. When they come to me, we trying to get off the medication. Or we trying not to get on medication to begin with. That's how that's supposed to go. But we already know why that's not happening. Tony, how not to die is my joint. That's my joint. That's my joint. Anybody that inquires about what books to read when they striving to transition to a plant-based or vegan diet, I recommend that book often. But yeah, and I'm gonna tell a lot of our ailments, and we gonna talk on the physical ailments. But a lot of people don't be knowing about the connection between mental ailments and our diet. Bipolar, schizophrenia, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of these things can be caused by diet and can be reversed through diet. But that stuff that they definitely won't tell you that. Like they might admit to saying, okay, diabetes, yeah, you can control that, regulate it, reverse it possibly through diet. Heart disease, same thing. Lung cancer, they may tell you that for those ailments, but they gonna adamantly deny that your mental state is influenced or connected to what you eat. They gonna adamantly deny it. They not gonna tell you depression is linked to what you eat. And there are literally foods that contain hormones, man, or contain chemicals that will make you happier. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna tell you that. They not gonna tell you that, fam. They're not gonna admit that, I should say, because they know it. They're just not going to admit it. They're not going to tell you the more processed foods you eat, the more processed the mind becomes. And that's going to suppress all of the hormones, the serotonin, the dopamine, and all that. The things that make you happier, amongst other hormones. Those are the popular two. When you eating all the processed foods and the acidic foods, it's going to suppress those. It's going to suppress those hormones. Then it's going to raise like your cortisol levels and have you feeling anxious all the time. So all this new rise of anxiety is connected to what we eat. They got you eating all this trash food that's raising those cortisol levels and got you in fight or flight mode 24/7. Like you overly anxious. Y'all done seen the rise in anxiety and anxious people. Man, that's due to what we eating. That's due to our regimen. That anxious feeling, man, is due to what we are eating. Literally, man, that's I'm not gonna say that's 100%, but it's a very large percentage. Very large percentage, fam. They got people thinking they just anxious, and it's like it ain't got nothing to do with what they eating. Like, come on, fam. Come on. Oh yeah, they definitely take those oaths. That's why I be like I said, that's why I be staying away from them, man. I would have to it'd have to legit be an emergency for me to tap in with them. But I don't trust them for the most part, and for reasons rightfully so. I've reversed a lot of things within myself. I've healed a lot of things within myself doing my own private research, not from things that a doctor has told me. I've only ended up in more harmful positions due to some of the things a doctor has told me or the things that they haven't told me. I'll tell you some for sure. That's big. And I told somebody this the other day. I told a client of mine, like, she was telling me something about like a cousin of hers passing. And was like, man, I think he had like, I want to say like a stroke or a heart attack or whatever. It was something like that. And she was like, yeah, he he wasn't experiencing any symptoms for real, just a headache here and there. I was like, see, problem number one, we got to stop downplaying the seriousness of a headache. To me, there's no such thing as a small and minor symptom. All symptoms are big. All symptoms are your body trying to tell you something is wrong. So there's no such thing as a small symptom to me. No such thing. All symptoms are huge. All symptoms are huge. So when you get a headache, that's not slight. That's not something you should sweep under the rug. A headache is serious. A headache is your body saying, hey, you ate something, you thought something is wrong. I need for you not to do that again. And every time you fail to pay attention to that, you putting yourself at jeopardy to have a heart attack, stroke, all that type of stuff. Like straight up. So we got to stop downplaying the seriousness of like those headaches, man. Just feeling lightheaded, feeling nauseous, low energy. Like, man, that's not something to play around with. Like, that's something to say, hey, man, hold up. Let me start taking something a tad bit more seriouser. But we downplay those type of symptoms. and we wait for the major symptom to strike us and then make it seem like it came out of nowhere. Never are you having a heart attack out of nowhere. Never are you having a stroke out of nowhere. That doesn't exist. You had the signs, you had the symptoms, you just ignored them and you downplayed them. But there is nobody on this planet that just had a heart attack and it wasn't anything that was displayed to them leading up to it. Nah, nobody. They just ignored symptoms. That's all. That's it. But a heart attack is not going, your heart is not going to attack you out of nowhere and you was just healthy. No, the heart is not going to attack you if you 35 and you healthy. No, the heart is going to attack you because you have neglected it. And it was trying to let you know that you neglected it and you ignored it. You know what I'm saying? You ignored the signs. That is when your heart attacks. Your heart doesn't attack when you're healthy. That's just, it doesn't happen. When you're 35, 36, your heart should not be attacking you. That's not normal. You don't die of natural causes at 35, at 40, at 45. There's no such thing. Natural causes at 35, no, something was wrong. That's not natural. You didn't die. No, you didn't die of natural causes at 35. Something was wrong. So I don't never admit that type of stuff. Ever. Like ever. You ain't about to hear me. Oh, they say he was 30, 37. He died of natural causes, died in his sleep. Nah, something was wrong with him. Something was wrong with him, fam. Oh, Tony, for sure. And then, if I'm not mistaken, hold on, y'all, give me a second. Y'all know I be conducting business out here. If I'm not mistaken, like even that Hippocratic oath, it actually was never said by the person that they said it. And again, that hypocrisy, like, man, like we quote the original people around here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that oath wasn't even never. I don't even think it was said verbatim by the person they said it. That oath just full of nonsense, straight up and down. That whole oath is just a lie. Oh yeah, big pharma. Yeah, they definitely the biggest drug dealers, man, for sure. And it'd be funny that they give you some medication and they know what they're doing. So we're gonna give you this medication, right? It's gonna treat this condition. Side effect, suicidal thoughts. So now we got to give you another pill to treat the suicidal thoughts. Oh, but then the side effect of that pill, weight gain. So now then we gonna have to, like, man, that's funny. They know they be doing that. They know that all of this medication leads to side effects that are not so pleasant, so unpleasant side effects that you are going to eventually need another type of medication to treat that side effect. So that's how people end up on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different forms of medication, because the first one that they had gave them 2 or 3 different side effects and they needed something to treat the side effects. So now off of one medication, you probably got 4 or 5 just off of that one because you got hit with all the side effects. That's the game they play. Yeah, we're gonna give you this. We're gonna give you this medication, but you're gonna gain weight. You're gonna be depressed that you gained the weight. So then boom, three medications right there. You ain't gonna be able to sleep. So then now you're gonna need something for sleep. I'm telling you, like it's easy to give you one piece of medication that's gonna lead to you having to be on 5. That's easy. That's easy. And so that's how they do it. I'm not about to take anything where the side effects are worse than what I'm treating. Some of the side effects be death. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not about to take some. If you telling me I'm gonna be suicidal, I'm not gonna be able to sleep, I'm gonna gain weight, I'm not gonna take that. I'll take my chances on treating some holistically. That's how I feel about it. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I take my chances. I take my chances on treating something holistically, opposed to me having to take something that could lead to me thinking about killing myself, it possibly killing me gaining unnecessary weight that I did not ask for, me not being able to sleep. Nah, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm straight 1,000%, man. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I went past my time, man. I got to get back to doing this knowledge. I got to make some smoothies, man. I got to put some good food in my system, man. Get that fuel in my body. So, man, I appreciate y'all, man. It's a good one, man. I just got to get back. I got to get my momentum back. A little rusty, man. I got to get my streaming momentum back. I'm going to get it back, though. Don't worry about it. We all good. But, man, I appreciate y'all tapping in with me on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. I might try to tap back in with y'all one day during the week. If not, one day during the weekend for sure. Man, but I appreciate y'all, man. It's always peace tapping in with y'all and chatting with y'all. But y'all be out, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday, man. I'm out. Peace.